Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you! Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the brand spanking new Protomartyr record, the Agent Intellect. These guys are a Detroit, Michigan band. They are on their third full-length LP with this record. It's their second for the Hardly Art label. That last album that they dropped, I thought it was a pretty competent post-punk record. I'm usually a sucker for this kind of stuff. However, I couldn't really say it was hitting me in such a way where I actually found it memorable. However, I did dig the teaser tracks going into this new album over here, so curiosity got the best of me. Had to dig my heels into it and try it out, see what was up. And I really like the production on this thing. The guitars are a little rough, the bass is resonant, the drums are sort of distant but punchy, the vocals are very prominent and upfront much of the time. The performances on here feel very live, they feel very fluid, very in the moment. The vocal delivery, the singing style, it's despondent, it's moody, it's dark, it's dejected. Reminds me a little bit of Alias from Ice Age, although Protomartyr's sound is completely different. Actually, I would say they're somewhat different from a lot of other post-punk acts, both new and old. In comparison with a lot of the greats, a lot of the classics, I think Protomartyr's instrumental performances are a little reserved, steady. The band comes off as very cool and collected. Not really the most intense or distinct or wild sound, but at least this more reserved delivery that the band has allows for the songs on this record to really shine when they do happen to be good. Like with the song Uncle Mother's, which is an incredibly dark and heavy sound. Actually one of the most wild tracks on the entire record that features this very tense, tight, fast, spun, creepy little melody. A very explosive end, but one of my favorite cuts on the entire record is easily the intro track, The Devil in His Youth. I think the vocal melody here is pretty fantastic. I actually like the vocal delivery and the lyrics on this record the most, and the lyrics are actually consistently pretty poetic, descriptive, vivid on much of the record. I think the chord progression on this track is really great. It's kind of romantic. It adds a certain, I don't know, allure to the song here and sort of paints this character portrait a little bit, somebody who is dark but simultaneously dangerous. And on the song Dope Cloud, I love the lyrics again. The vocal delivery just comes off as so defeatist and depressing. It's not gonna save you, man. It's not gonna save you, man. And on the song I Forgive You, this track features one of those kind of freaky, herky, jerky, post-punk dance grooves that I find so attractive, that I think is so amazing about the genre, that you can have bands that are making such danceable music, but it is very oddly grooved and very dark and very sinister. So instrumentally, the band can be a little all over the place with this record, and vocally, a little bit too. On the song Buzzer Buzzer, the vocals on this track actually are like a dead ringer for an 80s Nick Cave. It's actually quite odd how it's almost like Nick Cave comes out of nowhere to sing a guest spot on here. And then again, there are other parts on this record where the vocals are sort of listless and moaning and tucked behind the guitars, and they just don't really come off as that striking. Mostly on the song Ellen, which not only tune-wise I think is one of the weakest tracks here, and structurally, I mean the last 1 minute and 30 seconds of this thing, completely uninteresting and just kind of a rehash of everything that came before it. And not only that, but the vocals just are so faint in the mix, they might as well not even be there. And another moment on the record where I think the vocals struggle with the instrumentation a little bit is the song Pontiac 87. One of the tracks where the vocals are just way too low in the mix, especially given that lyrically we're actually getting a really morbid, dark, and interesting story here. There are a handful of weak tracks on this record, but the vast majority of it is catchy, moody, post-punk fun.
I don't think so!
The lyrics are engaging and worth diving into. The vocals are electrifying and interesting, engaging a lot of the time. The tunes are most definitely there. I just think some of the instrumental performances are a little tame and sort of middle of the road every once in a while. Sort of like on the song Why Does It Shake, where the transition from part 1 to part 2 of the track is a little rough, and the finishing instrumental bridge just doesn't really add much of anything to the song overall. By then, the chords, the groove, much of what has been going on in the track has kind of gone stale. Yeah, I guess I'm just wishing for some more intense performances coming from the guitars and the drums that really would have just lit some of these tracks up. But I could just continue going on forever. I'm going to say I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this thing. I liked it a lot. I came away singing and just remembering a lot of these tracks. If you're looking for a rock record with a dark edge, then give this thing a listen. Tran?
Position on a mission, tell me what you're wishing for me to review on this channel. Should I wear a shirt or a flannel in the next video? Tell me where we go with this next album review. And this new album over here, did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Stop watching, never. End of the video. Forever.